everyone. Today we are here at the Standard Hotel in London King's Cross, and I have the absolute pleasure and honour of being with Lisa Eldridge, who is one of my makeup heroes. Lisa, I found it very difficult to do this intro because you've done so much. I mean, Lisa is the real beauty heavyweight of the generation. She's done everything from a TV show. You have your own makeup brand. You're the creative director of Lancome. You're the red carpet queen. What else?
You've been a bit busy.
You've been very busy, and congrats! You were just awarded the CW.
Oh yeah,
tell us quickly about that. That's a huge
that was
achievement.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I was so blown away by that because it's such a big industry
recognition,
thing, and they all vote. So it's kind of
well loved and respected.
That was lovely.
So Lisa is going to talk to us today about her life, her work, and everything in between, and all things beauty related. There is so much that you've done. I think for me, I know I want to hear about everything, and I think probably the best way to do it is to kind of start from the beginning. How did it begin? Where did you grow up?
I was in Liverpool from the age of 6 onwards. So the first 5 years I was in New Zealand, kind of in the middle of nowhere, just outside of Auckland, and it was lovely. So my parents split up, and my mum decided to bring us back on a kind of slow boat. I think it was giving her time to sort of process. And we went all over the world. So I went to Fiji. I remember getting off the boat in Fiji, and it was just amazing. And I went to school on the boat, and then I got to Liverpool, and I met my grandmother really for the first time. And she was such a big influence on me. She was an amazing musician. She could play anything on the piano. I started learning to play the piano so I could play with her.
Wow.
She was really creative. She used to write, leave me little poems in the morning.
So sweet.
And encourage, I was really into drawing and painting. And she was a big influence on me, for sure. And then just being in her house, the first thing that I discovered was my mum's old makeup box. And
that she had from
teenage years.
Amazing,
so my mum's bedroom in my granny's house had this little chest of drawers. Do you remember those papery ones with drawers and with jewellery boxes probably?
Of course. Yeah.
And it was just full of amazing makeup.
How funny to step into your mother's teenage bedroom.
Yeah, really.
I'd love to. I'd absolutely love to.
Yeah. It was so good because there was a little record player, so I used to play my mum's records, Beatles records, on there, and I just loved all her old makeup.
Yeah.
Much more than I liked her modern makeup that she was wearing then. Her old makeup was just
the thing that fascinated
something
you.
Was just so. It smelt so amazing. It was really gloopy. The textures were incredible. I guess it was a connection as well to her sort of childhood or her teenage years as well.
Amazing. So how long did you spend in Liverpool? And then I'm imagining when you moved to London, or you studied makeup, didn't you? So
yeah, I did. I didn't really know how to get into makeup. No clue. No one really could help me, or no one.
Did you know that you wanted to?
I got a book when I was 13 from my mum's friend because she's always drawing faces. And he got me a book about stage makeup. I hadn't said I wanted to be a makeup artist. I said I wanted to be an artist at that point. And he got me a book on stage makeup. And I just read this book 500 times. And that was it. And I went into school and I said, I'm going to be a makeup artist. I told all the teachers and they were like, yeah, okay. I said, I don't need to do this maths anymore because I'm going to be a makeup artist.
Yeah.
But I just had no clue how to do it. And I loved fashion magazines, but I thought, oh God, these people like Mary Greenwell, how would I ever do what she's doing? Or how would I ever do makeup for Vogue? And everyone was a bit
can't help.
Sorry. Everyone in Liverpool was not really sure. So I just came down to London, and then I did an evening course because I saw someone was doing an evening course in makeup. And I was working. I worked on a counter, worked in an architect's office. And then I used to go to this course in the evening, and it was actually brilliant. I know a few makeup artists now that say to me, oh, I used to go there.
Oh, really?
And what it was quite kind of ramshackle in a way, because it was started by this Canadian woman. And she just had makeup artists that were working during the day would come and teach at night. Right. So they were actually coming from shoots, and they were a bit more like savvy to the industry,
Yeah,
and we just used to really practice putting makeup on, take pictures.
Amazing experience. Before I started doing makeup, I did a face painting course. You know, just like techniques and shapes and blending and stuff. And I always think that was probably the kind of best education in makeup that I got, because it was using slightly different materials, but really for shape and stuff. It was really helpful. So then, what was your kind of first foray into beauty and into editorials? Was that where you kind of went with makeup first? Or?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was doing, like, the first stuff that I did was music stuff in London, and oh my god, yeah, I did all kinds of bands and gave looks. I remember designing the looks for the Manic Street Preachers, because they didn't have a look. And Richie was like, he had all these amazing kind of references, and I met them because I knew their manager. And I was like, what are your references? He was like, kitchen sink dramas, and I had all these old movies, and I was like, oh my god, I love you.
Yeah.
And then we started doing all this makeup. And then I went to Milan for 3 months, because people used to say, well, that's the best place to go if you want to get into editorial. And I just went and literally stayed in, very dangerous now I think about it, met people in clubs and basically stayed on their sofas for 3 months.
Great. Organic.
Not recommended. Don't do it. Don't try
Worked
this.
for you though.
Yeah, it worked for me. Luckily, I was okay. And that was amazing, because it was just doing test after test. And you got paid like 25 euros for a test.
Yeah.
And you could do it all day long.
Yeah.
And then I met people there that I worked with on shows later, and stylists and photographers that I worked with again. But I remember thinking to myself, I just want to do a bit of assisting now, because I just want to check that what I say on set and what I do and the way I act on set is good.
My assistants often say to me, you know, one of the main things that they feel like they're learning is set etiquette, which is something that people don't really talk about, but
No,
there
they
is.
don't,
There's
but
a way
it's so
to
important.
behave and be and deal with people, and
Absolutely.
it's part of the job, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
it's a big part of the job.
Huge,
It's a huge, the mirroring and the way
Totally.
you are with people. I went to see Mary Greenman's agent, who was, she had a really small agency at the time. She had like Guido, Sam, Mary, a couple of other people. And I said, can I come and see you? I'd like to assist Mary Greenman, because I thought, well, that's the one whose name I used to see. I used to buy all the Vogues.
Yeah.
So I went in and I showed her my portfolio, and she said, oh no, you're really good. Like, you don't need to assist. And I was like, but I want to. So I did like 2 seasons with Mary at the shows, Paris and London, and it was just like, okay.
And what was it? What were shows like? What was it like?
It was just very different. There was no filming backstage, no branding of like makeup, and it was a lot more creative in a way that you didn't have to. I think it wasn't about, you know, getting that commercial deal, you know, now it's very much tied into like
Packing
makeup
things in and assets.
There was none of that.
Yeah.
It was much easier in a way, and it was much more
you probably had longer with the models as well.
Longer with the models. You could really do like looks, and I guess designers as well were probably a bit braver in terms of it didn't have to be commercially like you know, ready to go kind of thing.
Shows used to be about, you know, you'd have 6 hours, 7 hours, and you could do something amazing, really creative, and it was just a much nicer process. And now you kind of feel like when you're doing a show look, it's like, okay, you can have an eye or a lip, you can't have both, it'll take too long. Yeah. And it just, everything's sort of diluting because of all of these kind of...
It's the business of it almost encroached on the creativity.
Totally, yeah.
So it was very different.
Yeah.
It was literally hours, and I could watch... I remember watching like Mary do the makeup, and then I did the makeup, and I thought I had to be really fast, and I tried to put it on really quickly, and she came over and she was like, slow down, you've got ages to do the makeup.
Yeah. Oh my God, that sounds nice.
I
don't think I've ever heard that before. Backstage at a show. Yeah.
But so it was very different, and literally once I'd done that season, Mary's agent took me on, and I was
That's great,
it
amazing.
was brilliant.
Yeah, how
she
exciting.
Said, you know, you're ready to go and we want to take you on. So
was Lancôme your first contract? When did you...
My first contract was Shiseido. And that was wild because they had seen all this editorial that I'd done. So after that face cover, I got quite a lot of Vogue. I started getting booked for loads of covers, and then they said, they're looking for a creative director at Shiseido, and I was like, wow, that would be amazing. They said, but they've got you in mind. They've got some people in Paris, some people in New York. And I remember I went to the Hempel Hotel in West London, and I had to take like inspirations and talk, and I was a bit kind of new to that, so I didn't really know what to talk about. And I'd come back from Cornwall on holiday, so I just took all my pictures of Barbara Hepworth's studio. They must have been like...
That's the inspo.
That's the inspo. And I was like, well, I'm really inspired by this and shapes. And I did a lot of photography and like Ben Nicholson's paintings. And they were all suits.
What do we
they
do
were
with
all
this?
guys in suits like sitting there. And I was just talking and talking. And I was like, I love this effect of like the light. And it went on for hours, and they were sort of interpreting it, so it took a long time. And then I left, and I thought, well, do you know what? That was fascinating. I haven't got it.
I had a great time.
I haven't got it, but it was interesting to see, like, you know, 6 guys in suits. That's what you have to do, and then I heard that I'd got the
you
job.
were an inspiring lady.
So I was like, oh my god! And then they were like, come to Japan and present a makeup line from scratch.
Wow.
So then I was like, wow. So again, I went and presented this makeup line from scratch. I had everything, mood boards, whatever. Actually, I bought a lipstick from it because I thought, because I did packaging, copywriting, everything. And it launched in 2002.
Brushed chrome, very nice.
Brushed chrome, yeah. Some of it was dark grey and...
Wow. and then you were number 7.
Yeah, then I was at number 7. Yeah, well, I had a baby, so I was like, I can't be jumping on planes every 5 minutes. I think that's the thing with makeup artistry and being freelance, you know, that I just think you can do it all, but not all at once. That's my sort of life philosophy, and I've really stuck with that.
And you've done that very well.
You can have everything you want
No
in life, but you
burnouts.
can't do it all at the same time.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I can't do the editorial, I can't jump on planes.
Yeah.
What am I going to do now?
Yeah.
And it happened that somebody said to me, who would be good to like reinvent number 7? And I suggested other makeup artists that I thought were good. And then they called me up and said it was you that we were after, actually.
Oh, wow.
And I said, well, this could be good timing because I can't really travel much now. So
Had you grown up wearing number 7? Because for me, I mean, actually, that was one of the first makeup brands that I ever kind of really knew or bought myself.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was a really nice change because the labs, most of them are in Nottingham, and there are some in France, but it wasn't like a travelling period for me. I stopped doing the editorial.
Yeah.
I believed in my soul that I would get it back in the future, so I was like, I don't need to worry and chase this now.
Yeah.
What's important to me at the end of my life is not these tear sheets, but that I went to my son's school play, I did the thing, I was involved, I did everything with him. So I kind of made that decision, and I was happy with it, actually.
That's really kind of, what's the word, like commendable, really, because it's so hard, I think. There are so many things that, not that people don't talk about unless you're in the industry, but that I guess from an outsider, people are unaware of how hard the job is and how committed you have to be to it. And especially as, you know, we don't go and sit down at a desk 5 days a week, 9 till 5, and, you know, have that guarantee.
Yeah.
It's
Not
a
at
fickle
all.
industry,
Yeah.
and one can be hot one minute and not the next.
Completely.
And it can be really hard to make changes and to, you know, especially if you're working a lot and you're on that kind of treadmill of, to take a step back and be kind of confident that you'll get it back is absolutely amazing.
You know, I remember kind of the month before I gave birth thinking, oh, I've got the cover of French Vogue. I've got like 5 Vogue covers this month and all this editorial. You know, 5 months from now, I'll have nothing. How am I going to feel? And I thought, well, I just can't do it. So there's no point in stressing about it.
We briefly talked about this earlier. You know, I mentioned that, you know, having started a YouTube channel, and I get a huge amount of inspiration from you, but I find it much harder to do makeup on myself. I'm okay if I'm sort of at home and I'm just fiddling around and there's no kind of pressure or anything. But for me, it's so much easier to do it on another face because I'm more inspired by the face and I can kind of... So how did you find it? Because you've been doing it on yourself for a long time.
I find makeup harder on myself than I do on other people. But I did feel from the beginning that what I want to show is like where the elbow is, where the mirror is, you know, the angles, because that's definitely what was missing when you read about how to do makeup. So I knew that I did definitely want to do it on myself. And I remember kind of doing the first video that I ever did, and it was called Morning After Makeup, because I woke up in the morning, I thought, I was just filmed at my house. I thought, I look so rough today. This is the day I'm going to do.
That's so
and I remember
great.
saying to like my husband,
Today's the day.
I'm going to do my first and he was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, because this is the day when I can sort myself out and I can make myself look good.
Yeah.
And no one knew about it within the industry for years. I never told anyone in fashion.
You just did them and put them out.
I did it on the down low, yeah.
Interesting.
And really no one knew. Wow. And I went on a job one time, a big fashion-y job, and it was the hairdresser's assistant or the stylist assistant when I walked in. Oh my God, I love your YouTube channel. And everyone went, oh my God,
Do you have
are you on
YouTube
YouTube?
Yeah.
I think for makeup it's just completely revolutionised the whole industry.
Yeah.
And the power's back with the consumer. It's not backwards. Never was with the consumer, but the power is now with the consumer, and that's really interesting to me. I think marketing-wise, it's all been turned on its head.
Totally. So tell me about your makeup line and when you launched and how it came about, and tell me about it.
Well, I'd done so many products for other people, and then I thought I'd like to do something for myself. And I had this idea I'd done this editorial where I'd stuck real velvet on the lips for Teen Vogue, actually. Poor model, God, forgive me. And I thought, I want a lip that looks like that and acts like that. And I tried to make it, and it didn't work. It just kept failing every test we did. And then I kind of gave up, and I had it in my studio. Whenever people used to come round, they'd be like, oh my God, what is this? One of the few that worked.
Right.
And they were like, what is this thing that looks like a piece of velvet? I was like, it's a lipstick, but it didn't work. And everyone would say, but you've got to make it. So I was like, okay, I'll try again. So we did lots more kind of goes on it. And then it worked. And I just said to, I was still with, Lancome, and I said to them, I've got this thing that I've designed, this lipstick, and I really want to launch it.
Yeah.
But I understand if you want me to go. And they were like, no, carry on, it's fine, do your thing.
Can we just grab one? I'm going to put one on right now.
They're in the little boxes. Yeah, it was just a bonkers fun thing. It was like a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory moment of making a lipstick look like a piece of velvet, and whether that was even feasible. And then just trying to make it work, and I had to go to all of the line tests. No big brand could have launched it because you had to check every single piece from all angles.
Because of the texture of it?
No, because it's a mould. So it's a sculpture, really. So when it came out the mould, 50% were damaged, and we had to keep melting them down, bringing them round.
Wow.
So it was, so initially, it was just a fun thing to do something a bit different.
And then it became sell-out. Totally sell-out,
and
like 24 hours
I
or
didn't think it would, because I thought, well, people won't understand because it looks so like a piece of velvet. I've got some different colours. I don't know which. Probably.
Ooh, hot pink.
That's a bit too pink.
Is it?
Get me one of the reds.
They're very creamy, isn't it?
It's very creamy, yeah.
Oh God, now I've just realised I'm doing this in front of the best makeup on. Oh, it's lovely and creamy. And how do you develop the colours? Because I've done...
Yeah, you've done a lot of colour development.
Yeah, and that's always... I mean, God, those poor people in lab coats where you're like, more yellow,
I know,
more white, and they bless
drive
them.
mad.
And lipstick's a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we're constantly having to think about skin tones, basically, and undertones, and creating things that really work very well on
lots of different skin tones.
Yeah, how do you do that?
I think colour's just something I've always been fascinated by. So I'm really into colour. I'm really into pigments. I'm really into my vintage makeup collection and studying the pigments in that and the colours and the ingredients. I was always into that, probably because of the history stuff.
Good. Sorry.
Looks good. Looks good. You've got beautiful lips. So it's a no-brainer.
Jesus, this is actually the most stressful thing I've ever done, I think, putting lipstick on in front of me. Okay.
The first 3 things I did were reds. So I'm like, well, how do I make a red that's not existing anymore? So I wanted like the bright red to be extra bright. Then
Is this the bright red that I have? Yeah.
Then there's an orangey red, and then there was a dark red. To be honest, the dark red was a 1930s lipstick that I had. I just copied it pretty much.
That's cool. I'm just going to bring these up, actually, talking about colours. I'll let you pick them up, but Lisa's brought in some of her archive of vintage makeup. But the colours, though.
I know, the colours are amazing.
Beautiful.
There's a red one as well. And it was a famous teddy bear toy company in Germany. And because these teddy bears were the height of fashion for grown women, the actual full-size teddy bear, they thought, what else can we sell to these women that are buying our teddy bears?
Makeup.
So they thought, we'll sell them makeup.
Can you show me one opening so that we can...
He's
I'm going to let
probably
you do it because I'm terrified.
He's probably
of...
the loosest because he's been opened quite a few times.
Right.
So this had a little mirror and a little powder in it.
Can you see?
So this is still at a time when makeup isn't
goodness.
considered to be very ladylike. So it's not too in your face. So you can almost hide this and have that on your dressing table, and no one knows that you've actually got powder.
Isn't that strange?
It's very
People were, what do you,
strange.
so people were not, it was taboo. What do you mean?
Completely taboo. Yeah, you would not. If you were respectable, there's no way you would be seen to be buying makeup.
Yeah.
If you had staff, you would send your staff to another city, another town to buy makeup from a chemist for you, in case somebody saw you buying it.
Crazy.
It just wasn't considered, the done thing. So I just kind of love them because they're just completely mad.
And what else? Let's have a look at this, if that's okay. 'cause
Yeah, that's
also
just
stunning.
very beautiful because it's obviously Art Deco, and it's the collaboration with Josephine Baker, and this was for one of her movies, a collaboration with a jewelry company in France. And this was just when makeup was blatant by then. You could take it, you could wear it, and you would put on have your powder, touch up your lipstick and your makeup.
Gorgeous.
While you're out. So this is like wearing makeup as a badge of honour, unlike these guys.
Hidden.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I brought my, this is just I'm always fascinated by bonkers science, mad science, and there's so much of it in the history of makeup.
Well, people sort of, there was no like FDA approved or, you know, health and safety, whatever. It was just a bit of a free-for-all, wasn't it?
Completely. And they would read things in the medical journal, the beauty industry, and things that even weren't proved. Like that's how arsenic came about, because somebody went and discovered that people that lived in an Austrian mountain looked good, and turns out they had a bit of arsenic. So suddenly arsenic was everywhere.
Isn't that mad?
And it was the same with this, which is radium. And it's just two brands just thought, well, radioactivity. It's amazing. It's the cure-all, and it can. And I particularly love that advertising, which is, the glow of your life kind of thing.
That is so mental.
Glow from within with your radioactive powder and your radioactive lipstick.
I'm just going to ask, because I'm sure people want to know just a little bit about red carpet.
Oh,
because people love the glamour.
Yes.
And you're, renowned for red carpet and, working with all these wonderful...
That's what I got into when I had my son, because I thought, now what am I going to do where I can leave the job at 6 o'clock?
Yeah.
Whereas, there isn't any editorial work.
Totally, yeah. And who are some of your favourite clients? Who do you work with regularly, and some highlights, I suppose?
I guess Kate Winslet I've worked with a lot. Nicole Kidman that you mentioned.
We love Nicole Kidman.
Yeah, we love Nicole
Amazing,
Kidman.
amazing
She's just
woman.
brilliant and fascinating and kooky and wild and brilliant.
Yeah.
I think it's a really interesting process to do red carpet, because it's by far the scariest job you can ever do.
Yes.
I know really top editorial makeup artists that say to me, and hairdressers, why on earth do you put yourself through that?
Yeah.
Because at least on an editorial we can fix
Control.
Yeah, we've got that
totally.
angle, the lighting's going to be good, the photographer's good. What if it's too scary, don't do it. But I quite like that sometimes. I quite like to be
in the back of the car before they get out, saying, wait,
Yeah.
don't open the door, and you're quickly just doing the powder before they step out, and then they're gone.
All of that
and then
stuff. And then you
yeah.
just hope that something hasn't happened, that's gone wrong. Or
Totally. And it's hard to know because, I've seen pictures from events where, and it's so common, people still have sort of powder mark because you can't control it.
And some of the photographers are there just to get a bad picture, so they're looking for a bad picture.
Yeah, that's nice, isn't it?
So isn't that lovely?
We're bringing this up because it's
I
now a
know.
household name.
I know.
Tell me about it.
So basically, this came about because I think when young makeup artists say to me, like, oh, I want to get into makeup, which makeup book shall I buy? I always say, don't buy any makeup books. I didn't buy any makeup books, apart from my mad stage makeup book, until I was well into my career. And I feel like just buy anything other than that, like find some weird source of paints or, deep sea divers or something. And I sometimes use this as an example, but I know it's bonkers. But this is something that Sam McKnight gave me, this book. And it was a book about chickens. And
What a wonderful gift.
just
He
brilliant.
obviously knows how to do it, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I just thought, this is so interesting. Like all these colours and textures, and some of them have like incredible markings. And it made me look online, and there's another photographer that does all these sort of almost like beauty shots of chickens and like close-ups and all the colours in the markings. And I mean, birds in general are like amazing for makeup.
Yeah. Let's show some pictures, because actually this is such
we have to find
gorgeous book.
a good one with his full makeup on. I mean, he's pretty
Look at
fabulous.
him.
That's a great outfit, yeah.
I actually got quite into guinea pig hairstyles.
Yes, guinea
I'll
pigs are
send you
good.
some.
Yeah.
Guinea pigs have the most
I'll be here for that.
incredible variety of haircuts.
But yeah, so I think like stuff like this, I think it's just a good way of demonstrating that you really have to kind of go for something different if you're ever going to do something that's your idea. Because if you look at too many makeup books, you'll end up, you won't be able to help it. You'll end up copying them.
You will.
You
and
can't
I think
help it.
I often get kind of mental blocks if I see too much makeup.
Yeah, I feel the same way. You have to
And
go to the art galleries or do something.
Anything. Get a hobby.
Yeah,
But it's right, and actually I think that's something that a lot of young people are. That's kind of the main question that I get asked. You know, where do you get inspiration from? And sometimes I kind of think,
where do you get inspiration from?
Who, me myself?
Yeah.
Oh God, good question.
Everywhere, right?
Well, yeah, probably not from makeup really, and just doing things and absorbing things and conversations with people
Yeah,
are the
I
best,
agree.
and yeah, basically anything that isn't directly makeup, because you're right, you end up copying, and I always get mental blocks. It must have been a really amazing experience doing the show, the History of Makeup show. What an amazing opportunity, because it just must have it was obviously so inspiring. Do you think that it did influence you doing all of that kind of research? And
Not really. That was stuff that a lot of it came from my book. So it was nice for that is that I could use all my research, but actually be able to go into a lab
do things,
and make
exactly.
stuff, because obviously you can't make
mix beeswax
proper
in a
lead.
pan with whatever. And
That stuff you can do at home, but you can't do the heavy duty stuff.
Right.
So the bismuth and the lead, and we actually we didn't show this on the show, but one of the Georgian recipes that I had was to bake the ceruse in horse dung for 3 weeks, and we actually did that.
Did you?
Because I wanted to see like how it would develop.
What do you mean? How did you bake it? In a frying pan?
You just pack it all in. That's how they used to do. So it would develop. It would stay warm. It would almost like slow cooker, like a slow cooker basically.
And where did you? In whose garden?
We did it at Keele
privilege of doing
University.
it,
So they had this
Wow.
big pile of dung. In between the two labs, they had cordoned off this area, and we had it all packed in horse dung there.
Wow.
So that was amazing, and I think for me to be able to, I wasn't allowed to put it on my own skin, but I did. The BBC rules: don't put it on your own skin. I was like, really? I want to see it.
It looks
I did wash it
amazing.
off quickly, but
And did it smell?
no, it didn't smell. But it was amazing to be able to see why they would have chosen lead paint and not the safer alternative in the 18th century.
As in,
which
you could see it was like a beautiful.
It was just nicer.
Was it?
Yeah, it was like we were saying about different things for beauty. Like you'll do things, and like last year as we were talking about, like, are you going to do something? And you think, well, I can see why. And there was so much pressure on women then to marry. You're nothing without sort of marrying a rich man.
And
so
people just didn't know.
and
I
they
don't
didn't
think,
know. They did know by then.
Oh, they did know by then.
100% they knew.
But they
that lead
continued to do
paint,
it anyway.
But they continued to do it. And I've always been fascinated by like the Gunning sisters and all these society women that insisted on still using lead paint. So for me to be able to make it properly, put it on my skin, compare it with all the recipes for the toxin-free one, and go like that and be like,
Sorry, it's
okay,
the clear
sorry.
winner.
It's luminous.
Yeah, wow, amazing. I mean, that's sort of a bit of a metaphor for kind of a lot of beauty things, isn't it? Kind of no pain, no gain.
Yeah, it is. Not much
type
has changed,
thing.
I guess, in that respect.
Yeah,
and that there is still that kind of pressure on us to...
Look, I often get asked what I think about what is the future of beauty and makeup, and I find it impossible almost to answer. I think there's often a case of, cause and reaction, and then reaction to what and obviously we've just kind of come through a period of ultimate perfection and kind of symmetry, and these kind of not unattainable beauty standards, but there was definitely a movement of perfection.
Yeah.
And then we kind of had the antidote to that, which was non-conformity and embrace your weirdness and all of that kind of thing. And where are we now? I don't even know that I can kind of, maybe, you know, being in a lockdown for 2 years has kind of muddied the water, and what is the zeitgeist now? It's quite, you know.
Yeah.
Do you have any insight?
I kind of think when YouTube started, I say everyone's going to be their own makeup artist. That was my prediction. And I felt like it was like the most technical 10-year course for people, not my channel, but in general, in how to do the most technical style of makeup. So, you know, the contouring, the highlighting. And it got to the point where you'd go out, you know, walking around the streets and you'd be like, the makeup's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so technical.
Yeah, technical.
And I
is the right
feel
word,
like
yeah.
now everyone's graduated from that technical school of YouTube makeup. And now we are able, hopefully, to relax a little bit and use the technical knowledge, but be able to become more creative. And I think in terms of the future of makeup, it's 150% technology led, and it will be. You will just spray on a new skin and you'll walk out the door, and you might just even go into a booth and your whole makeup will be done and everything will be, it will be so advanced technologically.
Somebody, actually, my facialist, she said, because we were talking about that, you know, the future of cosmetic procedures. She said, "Oh, we'll be growing our own skin, and then you'll be putting it in the fridge and
100%.
sticking it on, and you'll have a."
I believe it. I believe it.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Thank
joining me.
you
That
so
was
much.
huge privilege and pleasure to speak to you. And
Well, it was such a pleasure to be
Yeah,
here, and I'm
really.
such a fan of yours, though.
Oh,
From
wow.
day one. Brilliant.
Oh, you are just the best. Thank you so much.